Hey, I'm sitting here in my dialysis chair, and I was planning on a video visit this morning, and I had an idea. The idea was to just do the thank you time. Now, here's how the thank you time works. Everybody gets their own little notebook, and when we come together for the thank you time, each person sits there quietly and writes down 5 things they're thankful for. Then while we're having the thank you time, you mention those 5 things as you're sitting there. And when you mention your thank you thing, that's going to remind others of things that they're thankful for. The way that the thank you time started is I was with a mama and 3 daughters who had a very bitter spirit that kept rising up in them, a really scary voice that came up. And none of them were praying in the Holy Spirit, and baptism hadn't happened. So I said, Lord, what can I do? And he said, everybody get on your knees and just shout out what you're thankful for in a very childlike way without a whole lot of fancy stuff. You know, thank you for blueberries. Thank you for grandma's kitchen. Thank you for my red bicycle. Just simple thank you things. And later on, I discovered, when I was looking at that more deeply, I discovered that there is no way that dark, unclean spirits can stay real close when you are being thankful. So that's the purpose of the thank you time. Originally, it was to bring people who were not using their heaven language in to do something together. And so the most important part about the family thank you time is that you should tell the kids that when mommy and daddy seem too fussy or stressed, children should have the license to be able to say, could we have a thank you time? I think we should have some thank you time. So the practice of the thank you time is you get a kitchen timer and you set it for 15 minutes. And you spend 15 minutes just saying thank you, and talking and singing in the spirit. So you're just getting high and higher and strengthened and loosened up and disconnecting your mind from all the worldly junk. And you're just like, Tosida karaba koto korobo tokoto. Rabada bakati katara badana. Shuku 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 dinamala bakatana. Thank you for clouds. Thank you for dolphins. Thank you for fried chicken. You know, that type of stuff. So that's the thank you time. And my plan was to actually have each one with a notebook. Hold on a second. This is the notebook, type of notebook that I use for the Grandpa Honesty Guy Life School. Grandpa Honesty Guy Life School notebook. I'm operating with just one hand here. Okay, so Grandpa Honesty Guy Life School Notebook is leather bound, and it's got a little strap on it. It's got skinny lines, and you put your name in there. Grandpa Honesty Guy Life School Note Journal Book. So a journal book kind of like that one would be fun to have, but anyone is fine. You know, who cares? So yeah. So the point is to get your Grandpa Honesty Guy journal book going, and in the back of it, you make your thank you list. In the back, not in the front, in the back. You start from the back, and you fill it up. And every time you have a thank you time, you write in 5 more. And you'll be amazed at how many things you can think of to be thankful for. And this is a foundational, wonderful thing that anybody, an atheist, a child, anybody can do. Doesn't take any special effort. Yahoo, yippee. Now, 2 John 2. 2 John, no, not 2. 2 John, whatever. Or it starts talking about the teaching. What was it, from 5 to 11 or something like that? Where it talks about the teaching. The teaching. Anyone that comes to your house and doesn't offer this teaching, don't let him in your house. That's crazy. I mean, what the heck is that? That is like such a weird, harsh, kind of intense thing to say, you know? Don't let them in your house if they're not coming in with this teaching. Now, if you start looking at the word teaching, do a search on the word teaching. Teaching or teachings. And you see Acts 2:42. They were addicted to, they were constantly in the apostles' teaching. What is the apostles' teaching? What the heck is that? That seems really important. If that's the first thing, what is it? What is it? What is it? And then 1 Corinthians 11, Rabbi Paul says, thank you for holding to the traditions. And then in Timothy, it says, share these teachings with trustworthy men. And I mean, what we're looking at is actually these special teachings from friend Jesus to ordinary human beings about how to live and be the mobile friends of God, the mobile temple. And this is a really important set of information that he taught the 12 in his resurrection form, as mentioned at the end of Luke and the beginning of the book of Acts. So there's all this stuff about that teaching, that teaching. Now, it's really weird because if you look up in the Bible, Holy Spirit and teacher, you will not have to have anyone to teach you, but the Holy Spirit will teach you all things. Now, this is weird. If the Holy Spirit teaches you all things, why do we have to hold on to certain teachings and make sure to share them with others? That's kind of like a contradiction. It's sort of like a both and thing, and you've got either an or. That's kind of weird, but we need to think about the teaching. The teaching. There is the Holy Spirit that teaches and reveals as we go through things. And then there is the teachings that were taught by Yeshua. I think so. So my encouragement to you is to find a copy of the Didache in your easiest language. Dirk and Blanca, I'm thinking maybe it's Germany and maybe it's Spanish, so that you can go through that with the youngsters and the people in your territory. You can go through that. And in my house, Thursdays are the day for honesty time. Friday is the day for reciting some of the Didache out loud and the Sermon on the Mount out loud. Saturday is the day for We Shall Overcome, family singing time. Oh, shit. Whoops. Oh man, it's been a long day. We've been hustling. Okay, so anyhow. Yeah, this is really candid life school here, isn't it? Yakalabakasa. So that's the picture. Find the Didache in German and read it out loud. Have one person read, and then have the whole group respond to a little section that they're reading. It doesn't have to be every verse. It could be a couple of sentences. So it's like you're going to say, there are two ways. You say that in Deutsch. One of life and one of death. And the difference between the two ways is big. It's obvious. It's not hard to figure out like that. Or you can do it in German, and you can do it in Spanish. German and Spanish and English, and I can learn along with you. You can make a recording of speaking the Didache out loud. And it's fun. I mean, the cool thing about the Didache is there's not a list of priorities in the Bible. It's not like an outline. Okay, this is the most important thing, and this is the secondary thing, and then this is a third level thing. There's nothing like that. There's just all of these images and priorities and conversations and instructions. And in some ways, the Didache puts things much more in order. This is what is wise. This is what is foolish. This is what the way of life is. This is what the way of death is. Here are the instructions on doing this thing or doing that thing. It's a strong basis. It is a very strong basis. Thank you for coming near and caring and listening to this video. Woohoo! Read the Didache out loud and read the Sermon on the Mount out loud, starting in Matthew 5. And you can spend like an hour doing that on every Friday, because that's a family collective wisdom thing. Go all the way through the Didache, then go all the way through the Sermon on the Mount, and you start doing the Didache again. And yes, there are a couple of things in the Didache that are not absolutely scriptural, but they are focused